Good Saturday morning to you. This is Pastor Mark Pierce of Church Requel joining you for Matthew study number 77. It's great to be with you here today. In just a moment, we're going to get back to our Beatitude study of the merciful. But before we do that, I just need to give you a quick reminder that I will not be here with you tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to be in town tomorrow for Church Requel. Church Requel, however, will continue. We will have a church service. My good friend and fellow leader, Rich Workman, will be leading the worship for us tomorrow. This evening, I have the great privilege of marrying my brother's daughter, my oldest niece, Bethany, to her fiance, Aaron. It's going to be a great privilege for me, and I and my whole family will be in Cincinnati overnight, and so I won't be back here tomorrow. But I do encourage you to tune in later next week, because I will get a copy of Rich's sermon, and I will get it up so that you can watch it as quickly as possible. And of course, if you're anywhere in town at all, I encourage you to come to our home. I'll not be here, but come to our home anyway and enjoy Rich's talk. I am sure, no pun intended, it will be a rich time indeed. Well, let's get to our study today, shall we? We want to take a look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 7, a very simple verse, Beatitude of Jesus, his introduction to the Sermon on the Mount. He reads it this way: "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy." Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. As we talked about yesterday, it's simple to get into the idea, or easy, I should say, to get into the idea that we're really talking about karma here. And if I'm merciful to other men will be merciful to me. The problem is that it doesn't work that way. People get mercy all the time that don't deserve it, in the sense that they haven't extended mercy. And we all know people who have been very merciful all their lives who, in the one time they desperately need the mercy, don't receive it. So really, this in context, I think, if we look at the other Beatitudes, we see clearly that the one who is extending mercy is God himself, and that if I am giving mercy to others, God will be giving mercy to me. This is certainly true within the context of the Beatitudes. More importantly, I think it's true of Jesus' teaching here later in the Sermon on the Mount. It's true in terms of the context of the New Testament, and it's very true in terms of the context of even the Old Testament. If we were to say, well, where does this word come from? Eleimon, which is the Greek word for mercy here. It means to be beneficial or charitable. When we go back into the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Old Testament, oftentimes this is the word that is translated for hesed. Now, this word, this Hebrew word hesed, is almost untranslatable word. It means not only to sympathize, not just to feel sorry. It really means the ability to be able to get into someone else's skin, to be able to see with their eyes, to think with their mind, to feel with their feelings. It's so much more than just being sympathetic. When the Old Testament translates this word, and we get it, either through the Greek or ultimately to the English, we ultimately see this word hesed to be translated mercy or love or loving kindness or steadfast love. It really describes the kind of love that God has for a very long time extended to men. It means giving help to the afflicted. It means rescuing the helpless. It really is just another way of saying, hey, this is compassion, but compassion in action. Not compassion in the sense that I just feel sorry for somebody, but compassion that I take action and I do something about it. We see that so clearly in God to us. This idea of getting into somebody else's skin, seeing with someone's eyes, thinking with their mind, feeling with their feeling. Could any description be more true of God becoming man? Could it be anything more grand than Jesus himself, who, as the Son of God, becomes a man so that he can see and know and feel like we see and know and feel? It's one of the reasons why we have such a great advocate, why we can feel so comfortable in our prayer life, why we know we have received mercy so much, because God has already demonstrated this mercy in His Son, in Jesus. Now, when we fast forward a little bit from the Old Testament to the New, we see this to be the true teaching of Jesus in its rawest form. Jesus gives us the story of the unmerciful debtor in Matthew chapter 18, verses 23 to 35. Who knows? One of these years we may get there ourselves in our Matthew study. But just to give you the short version of the story, here we have a man who owed a great amount of money, more than what he ever could have paid to his master. And yet his master forgives him of that debt, shows him great mercy. This servant then, as Jesus tells the story, turns around and someone who owes him money, a much lesser amount than he owed his own master, he takes and throws into jail. In other words, he does not extend the same mercy to someone else that he had received from his own master. And Jesus concludes the story about how horrible it is for that servant when the master found out that he had not extended the same mercy to another that he had been extending mercy. Well, then he received the repercussion of that from the master. Now, the connection here is so close to us, is it not? I mean, here Jesus is saying, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. In the Beatitude, he is talking about God, that as we extend mercy to others, God extends mercy to us. You know, this often raises a question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? I mean, why do we extend mercy to others? Well, because God has already extended mercy to us. But the Christian is very much a man or a woman in between. Not only have we already received mercy from Jesus the Christ and the Son of God because of his sacrifice for us on the cross, we also will yet receive mercy at the great judgment in the future. The Christ follower is someone who's in between, already having received mercy, already having been forgiven, and yet looking forward to still needing on an ongoing basis that mercy and that forgiveness. When we come back on Monday, I'm going to explain this just a little bit, but this is something that makes us, frankly, uncomfortable, because we'd like to know that just, well, everything is done and taken care of, don't need to worry about this any longer. But over and over again, there is this connection, not only to the mercy God has already shown us, but also the connection to the mercy that we then show to others. We have the story of the unmerciful debtor. We have the psalmist in Psalm 18:25 saying, with the merciful you show yourself to be merciful. In other words, again, just a reflection of this very beatitude, that God himself shows mercy to those who are merciful to others. In another chapter, Jesus in the great prayer, when he's explaining why he puts in this idea of being forgiven our trespasses, says, if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Yeah, this is heavy stuff and things that we do not want to take lightly. So as you contemplate this on this Saturday for the rest of this weekend, I challenge you, think about your life. Think about those for whom really you are in a position of being able to extend mercy. Maybe mercy financially, maybe mercy relationally. Someone maybe has greatly offended you, and you are absolutely within your right not to forgive, to hold it against them. But what kind of mercy would that be? I leave you with that today. Have a great weekend.